Hi, Pallavi from Maryland, QA lead for the last 15 years in aspiring PM. That's wonderful to know. Thank you for sharing that in the chat. I can see a few chats on LinkedIn. Okay, all right. Avinash from US. Thank you for introducing yourself. Anyone else? Hi, Yum from Lagos. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Project manager in oil and gas exploration. It's wonderful to get to know all of you. And I think it's time for us to start the webinar. So I'll quickly introduce myself as well. I'm Shweta, and I'm going to be the host for today's webinar. And once again, I would like to welcome all of you to today's session, and we're going to talk about the first 90 days as a project manager and what success looks like. And here's the major thing. Most people think about becoming a project manager and they feel like it's about getting the role. But the real challenge is the first 90 days after you get it. And that's exactly what we're trying to address today in today's webinar. And we also have a wonderful speaker joining us. So I'll give Matt's introduction shortly. Before that, I would like to start with a few ground rules for today's webinar. If you have any questions, I request all of you to put your questions in the Q&A box. This is just to ensure that we don't miss out on any of your questions. We would be taking these questions towards the end of the webinar. So if you share it in the chat, because of the high number of chat messages that we receive, we might miss out on that, and we really don't want to do that. Please use the chat box effectively, and let's keep conversations related to today's topic. I request all of you not to share any external links in the chat because it could be quite distracting for everyone else. And for the certificate of participation, all you will have to do is enter your full name in a poll that we will be launching towards the end of the webinar. So once you fill up your full name, you will be receiving the certificate, the recording, and the slide deck within 48 working hours. And before we begin, I also want to quickly tell you all about Simplilearn, and I just want to check with all of you. Have you attended our webinars before, or is this your first time? You can let me know in the chat. If this is your first time, please respond with a first, or if it's your second time or third time, you can let us know. On LinkedIn, I can see a few members mentioning the first time, so it's wonderful to have all of you here. And even on Zoom, Sophia is saying first time. Patrick is saying first time. So many first timers here. Thank you for your responses, everyone. So once again, thank you for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And about Simplilearn and what we do. So at Simplilearn, we've helped over 8 million professionals advance their careers across 150 plus countries. And we partner with leading global institutions and industry leaders to deliver programs that are practical and career focused. But today is all about you. So we will quickly move on to that. And before we get into that, I just wanted to quickly show you the key partners that we are partnering up with. So you can see industry partners like Microsoft, Google, and also university partners like VT, UCSD, and a lot more. Here's also one reason why our programs stand out. So most of our learners have reported a 50% salary hike on completion of courses with us. And we have also been rated 4.8 out of 5 by our learners, which clearly talks about the kind of learning experience that you can expect with us. And we also have a graduation rate of 80%. So these are some of the key highlights. I just quickly wanted to walk you all through that. So that's about Simplilearn, and we hope you all have a wonderful webinar with us as well, because your experience really does matter to all of us. So that brings me to one of the most exciting parts of today's webinar for me, something I personally love doing, and that is introducing the guest speaker for today's webinar. So I'm very happy to introduce Matt Kurloff. Matt is a global Agile coach, Scrum master, trainer, and a mentor with extensive experience helping teams and organizations actually navigate through a real transformation, right? And what I personally appreciate about Matt's work is that he just doesn't talk about the frameworks or theory. He actually his work is at the intersection of leadership, team development, and also coaching. And one thing I would like to highlight here is that Matt is also a mentor with us, and he has been helping a lot of professionals in the field of project management. So this is going to be a really insightful webinar, and I'm sure there's a lot we are waiting to learn from you, Matt. So I'm sure everyone's also waiting to hear more from you. So it would be great if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to jump right onto Wally's question. Wally Oyenui is asking, which country are you talking from? And I will answer it immediately. I am based in the United States. originally from Bulgaria, but I do most of my training and coaching within the US. Of course, Sweta, my counterpart here, is in India. I assume you're asking for both of us, but I'm not dodging my task. My task is to introduce myself. I have about 10 years of experience in the project management domain, specifically into Agile. Before that, I was a contributor on different projects, teams, and product teams for that matter, which helped me develop my career, both actually as a Scrum Master, coach, and project manager. As of recent, I was on a contract about a year ago, or I was a project manager for the current government. But I have worked in different levels of the organization, anywhere from team level contributor all the way to enterprise changes as an enterprise agile coach, with all types of different sizes of corporations, mostly in the fintech, financial technology domain, but really all over, anywhere from agricultural domain to research and development, you name it. I have worked with all types of businesses. But why am I here? It's not just my experience and being picked randomly out of a hat. I'm very passionate. For me, it's only serves me to master one thing and know it one better than somebody. And I am very excited to share it and get others engaged. And I think of the world of projects and products as community. So here I am, teaching, coaching, sharing all types of knowledge from various projects, straight from the US. And I'm right in the middle. If you draw across of the United States between Denver and Chicago, that's where my city is, in Omaha. So thanks for the gracious introduction, Sweta, and I'm looking forward to being of value to you guys tonight.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself, Matt. It was wonderful to hear your introduction. So I think it's time to get right into the topic. So before we actually get into the frameworks or practical steps, I want to start with a bigger question. Like, what are the first, why are the first 90 days so critical for a project manager? And is it really about learning the role, or does it actually shape how your team sees you as a leader from day one?
Okay. Yes, I can definitely speak to this, Sweta, unless you have some stats in mind. But this is a wonderful wonderful topic, very underserved. The first 90 days. This is where our imposter syndrome kicks in, but this is also where it's the proving ground for us. And so, when it comes to leadership impact, this is our time to establish ourselves, trust, and the most important thing that I would add here is relationships, building relationships quickly. From being in the consulting circuits, and I kind of pulled this from going into consulting to going full-time in my roles. That quick building of trust and building relationships and building that relationship in communication, currency, and comfort is extremely important. Then performance edge. Have you ever been in, put it down if you've ever worked for an organization that was very bad at onboarding, and you were going left and right, and you were all over the place. You were here and there and nowhere, and you were just not sure about the expectations. You were not onboarded. You didn't have access. So this really slows you down in ramping up in this very important phase, because we all know we're being looked at, we're being evaluated as in our first 90 days, but it's also our time to shine. So extremely important to have that structured onboarding. Sometimes it's boring, it's tedious. We say, well, things are going to change anyways, but we've all been in the shoes also of somebody starting and being impeded out there. And then team engagement. That's extremely important. Whether you're forming a brand new team, you're establishing your presence within the team, and also getting to know people. Again, going back to the R word, the relationships, and building that investment. It's really an investment into your leadership and future. And so, if we think of relationships and your leadership as an investment, then building up that currency that you can spend. So first 90 days, it's the cliche is first impressions, extremely important. So that 30 to 90 days is kind of that sweet spot for that persona, how you establish yourself within the environment that you're working.
Right. And Matt, building on that, here's something I'm actually curious about. In the first 90 days, we know that this is a very important time. Why do so many project managers still struggle during that period? And is it the lack of experience, unclear expectations, or something deeper around leadership and communication?
It's many different things. It's I would say from my experience, our incredible ability as human beings to self-sabotage. A lot of times we run to our safety, and because everything is new, everything looks familiar, but it's kind of new, we ran to our old habits, what helped us survive or excel as leaders in our previous corporation. So running for old habits, making assumptions, in a way we try to bring out our old corporations. Also not understanding the purpose, leadership and communication gaps. It's extremely important, and I saw in the chat that a lot of you guys are project managers. I mean, think of that communication agreement and our ability to create that communication plan on not only who we talk to, but how we're going to talk to, brand new expectations. And a lot of times it's our counterparts too. It's whenever fail in isolation. So it's others' rapid expectations. You know how if you're on the other side in corporations, we sometimes go almost blind into having empathy for somebody coming in for the first time, because we assume that everybody, because we've known the things that we know for a long time, also will know. I see the Gallup survey there that managers influence 70% of engagement. So that's always leadership, how we're perceived in, how we're fitted in, all that authority, and how well we're allowed to delegate and being delegated to, how we fit into the structure. Are extremely important, but I really think it's that expectations, managing expectations ourselves, and others managing those expectations. So it's the environment, how it accepts us, and also how we react within that environment. So maybe my agile warp mind is going into adaptability mode, but adaptability is extremely important.
Right. Thank you for giving us clarity on that. And I'm sure we can actually talk about this in the coming slides as well. But before we move ahead, there's a quick poll for everyone here. This is also for us to understand you guys better. So what best describes you today? Are you currently exploring project management as a career option? Are you planning to transition into a PM role? Or are you managing projects informally in your current role? I have seen that a few of you are already working as a project manager, and the last option is looking to grow into senior project management or leadership roles. So, could you please let us know where you are at in the chat? It would be wonderful to know, and we would be able to help you with your queries further as well. So, please share your responses in the chat. I can see a few responses from LinkedIn. So some are already working as project managers. So this is not a poll. We wanted you guys to let us know in the chat. Uh, Looking to grow in senior PM leadership role, exploring PM as a career. All right. So I think it's a mix of responses, transitioning into PM, working as a project manager, working as PM, looking to go into senior roles, current project managers. So I think, Matt, there's a mix of audience here, some who are exploring, some who are actually in the field right now, and some who are transitioning into project management senior roles. So it's great to know your background. So this also helps us understand where you all are at. So we will try to cater to all of your questions in the coming slides, right? So most of you might also be aware of the basic concepts of project management as well. So Matt, I think the next question I have for you is about the framework for project managers, especially now that we understand the first 90 days are really crucial. Could you talk to us in depth about the 30, 60, 90-day framework that project managers can actually use in their first few days?
Right. That's such a great and such an important background breakdown, and it's one that's is not talked about and it's not being paid attention to. Inertia is a great force, and sometimes because, hey, if your company is not busy, let us know. I will all like to join you. Most of the companies that we join are extremely busy, and there is no time. We mentioned orientation and bringing somebody up to speed. Usually, we just try to catch up as soon as possible. In inertia, we go into the fastly rapid river. We jump in, and the inertia carries us fast. So even as project managers, it's like the doctors that never care about their own health; they care about the patients. We start caring about the projects, about the deadline, about the people, and how it all comes together. But we don't go as introspective and try to pay attention on our own structured approach on how we join in. One, again, I'm going back to drawing to my consultancies, but then days 1 to 30, no matter how, and when I go into and join a company, I always, whether it's 3 days, whether I can carve a week, maybe 10 days, maybe longer, depends on the context. I always make sure that I get to experience things from a fly on the wall perspective. So that listening, learning, kind of absorbing what is not being said, kind of figuring out those unwritten rules and the culture, watching how people react, watching how communication flows. If you're lucky, you'll even stress test the system where something goes wrong, and you get to observe or even participate, but kind of more from a being a non full-on contributor. So it's that example and details. So I sometimes in my previous kind of example that I can give is when I joined a system, I worked for the government, and I was immediately joined in and looked in as an expert. And so a lot of people look for validation for what they were doing, but they were kind of clinging on to every work that I did, every recommendation. They kind of stopped and started some things that we're doing that were not necessarily wrong. They were just not my first preference, but they were working great for them. So having that, specifically my example was I tried to pull back as much as possible. I would help if somebody's thirsty. Don't hold the water from them. Give them water. Water is life, right? Save people. But we were working on a project charter and chartering a brand new project. And so my specific example was I was asking in a very granular manner how things should be done and what we should do. And I was pushing back, and I said, no, use your experience. You've done a few projects under your belt. You're not formally a project manager. Don't let that hold you back. I'm here with you, but I don't want to come in and immediately tell you. I want to see what works great for you. So that was the learn and listen. And you can always learn. I've had teams of interns where I've had can't remember now, 6 interns. I was very arrogant. That was at the Fiserv Corporation many years ago. And I learned more from the interns than a lot of times I learned from the experts, because they were very curious and they were willing and open to try different things. The consultant roles, project manager. So in the first 30, I learned, listened. We worked on an AWS Amazon project where we were working. It was a security infrastructure project, and so I pulled back as much as I could in the first 30 while I was kind of also establishing and working on my own project and standing it up. Then we have days 31 to 60, contributor. This is where you either go in your lane, or if you're supporting others, you're starting to see what's going wrong. You immediately jump in, and you're a little bit more assertive. You delegate more, and this is what I did. I basically decided, my example was we switched projects because somebody was drowning, and I felt that I had an understanding, and I could kind of jump in and switch things around. Again, this was that infrastructure project, and it was early and in one of the early phases, but we had very tough stakeholders. So my 31 to 60 days was dedicated to reworking and rewiring relationships with stakeholders. stakeholder, pure classic stakeholder management for me, for that contributor phase. And then day 61 to 90, this is where the proverbial "I got this," right? This is where you get into, my metaphor is the flow. You get into a flow, and you are starting to go above and beyond. You're on your own. You're absorbing context, and that context word is extremely important, because in depending on the corporation, even in the first 90 days, a lot of times you will not have the entire context, and depending on your absorption rate and how heavy the context is, some companies have been operating the same way for 40 years. It's like the military acronyms left and right. So this is 61 to 90 is your way to shine how much you can absorb and actually go in and show that you can be independent. But I'll also hedge that. Independent doesn't mean that we should not ask for help. And it's almost a quality that we suppress so long because we want to show that we can be independent, but also asking for help is extremely important. And so that's the coloring slightly outside the lines, but go in there, be like a visitor, absorb, listen, get a feel for it, start contributing it, show your independent thinking and working, and let your experience shine and your ability to adapt. And then 61 to 90 at that 2-month work mark is where you are saying, hey, I'm one of you. I can pretend that I'm exactly like you because you have a lot more context, but let me show you, I have a lot of tricks in my bag as well.
Right. Thank you so much for giving us such great examples also when you explain the frameworks. One question I have, I think it's time for us to deep dive into the first 30 days, and we understand that it's all about learning, listening, and also understanding the tools and team dynamics at this stage. So Matt, could you talk to us about how one can build clarity in this stage and how PMP could also probably help anyone who's planning to transition?
Absolutely. Well, first 1 to 30, build clarity before control. Everybody is wondering about the what, where, why, about the how, and sometimes you have a lot of known unknowns and unknown unknowns. And what I tell people is, do you guys like The Rock, the actor, The Rock? He has a metaphor where things are very messy, and when he's really overwhelmed and things are brand new to him, he goes and says, hey, I'm going to put my back to the wall because I can't go back. I can only go forward. So that's the mentality. We can all go forward. And so getting untied, getting common ideas, common starting points is extremely important. In project management, so this is the two types of methods, right? In project management, I'm going to have to make sure that I get all the basics. I get the scope, all the things. I charter with all the information, the who's, the why of the project, the budget, everything together. But sometimes we don't have that. Sometimes it's we're even before that phase. So we start with the basic ground rules, but we also the who, the what, and the why. We may not have all the requirements, we not have all the scope, but start getting things, whether it's on OneNote, get things on paper and start getting that common understanding. And if the common understanding has been built and you're the conductor and you're conveying and it's coming from you, kick that off. Stakeholder map, extremely important. Influence plus expectations. Remember about the relationship currency. I had my mentor told me that the best thing she ever did when she works with leaders was figure out what type of drinks they drink. And somebody was a huge Mr. Pibb fan, and to create a relationship with them because there were wall-to-wall meetings. Is that familiar, right? You all are working, or most of you are working with leaders, and by the time you get to the director VP level, there's a wall-to-wall meeting. So the way to connect with them is maybe you have that 5 minutes in the hallway or between meetings to meet them. So figure it out. Maybe you figure out that's Coca-Cola or whatever is their favorite drink. You bring them a Coca-Cola, and you say, hey, I'll have a Coke. You grab a Coke with me, take a breather. I have a couple of things that I want to pick your brain on. And so start developing your stakeholders early on. And sometimes it's the empty rah 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 and just chatting and getting to know them as a person, but build those relationships. Create the communication plan, who gets what and when. That is your map, and not just a communication plan to have a plan so you check the box, but it's extremely important on how the communication is flow. Who is it going to flow? When, right? You have the meetings. Do you need to have formal communication, informal communication? What's the list of stakeholders? Do you need a warm introduction? What's your kind of mini contract of, hey, do you have access? Do I need to talk to you? Can I talk to you? Do I need a proxy to talk to you? And understanding and kind of working and building that network of that your information is going to flow through. And then RAID, I joke by the RAID log. It's the risks, actions, issues, and dependencies. Getting your artifacts, because this is when everything flows, it flows. But sooner rather than later, things are not going to flow, and that's going to help you establish that that line of sight on what are the issues, what are the side issues, what's hanging you up, how are you going to respond, what are the appropriate actions. So in essence, you're a master facilitator in many ways on managing these things that are not going down your happy path, and even in your happy path, knowing the specific issues that you're going to go through. What is how they fit into the timeline, for example? Is there a sequence? All these type of things. But getting clarity on these essentials and using these tools. And Sweta, you mentioned how does the PMP support the first 30 days. It helps you understand these artifacts. It helps you deeply understand the what, the why, their purpose, so that you can grab them and use them, and you can explain them to the entire system of people and your stakeholders within the project or projects. Maybe your own portfolio. I know some of you guys have been project managers, and you're going like, oh my goodness, what new thing is that guy going to tell me? But maybe on portfolio level, the same thing. It's building clarity, sense making, and I love. If you're working now, I see more and more mixed agile and project management. The alignment means that, hey, we're not agreeing on everything 100%, but we know where everybody stands on this issue or that issue, right? Maybe my architect, a business stakeholder, still. I was in a 3-hour meeting today where we couldn't agree on a way to move forward, but we became very clear on the reasons why and the different preferences within the room. So you, chances are, you as a project manager, you're going to document them, you're going to facilitate them. So you're not keeping going in circles, but you want to help move the group towards a resolution and a best way to move forward. So risk, while everybody's thinking like, hey, this is going to go good, this is going to go bad, you translate in your head and into your logs in terms of risks. And you're discovering the different touch points on governance, and it unfolds your entire plan. So while you're still in that listening and understanding stance, you're starting to populate your artifacts and find out what really is going on within that system of whether it's a single project or multiple projects, or maybe you're working with product stakeholders in a product organization within sprints. It's kind of the same thing. You're just establishing the grounds of the who, what, where, and why.
Thank you for giving us so much clarity on the first 30 days and what one has to do. Also, thank you for sharing your insights on how PMP could also support someone who's, especially, I think, in the transition phase. Right. So before we move ahead, we have another quick question to all of you. So we understand that a lot of you are project managers here, and even if you are planning to transition, what feels most challenging about managing projects for all of you? Is it aligning different stakeholders, getting clarity before execution, managing risks and uncertainty, communicating with senior leadership, or is it keeping teams accountable? Please let us know in the chat, because we understand that there are different kinds of challenges that you face. And if it is not mentioned here and you have a completely different challenge, you can also let us know about that in the chat. That would be really interesting to know. So I can see a few responses. So it says, Kiran says, managing risks and uncertainty. That's great to know. Thank you for sharing that. I'm quickly checking LinkedIn as well. So I can see a few of them mention managing stakeholders, which is a crucial part of um, project management. And we have quite a few responses here. So there's keeping teams accountable, lack of documentation and product, managing risks and uncertainty. So again, it's a mix of issues or challenges that you are all facing, and we will try to address those questions as well. Matt, do you have any tips for these kinds of problems that they are facing or that they might face in their career in project management?
Absolutely. Seems like huh, keeping teams accountable, getting clarity before execution, members' competency, managing risks and uncertainty. One thing that I might have for you is we're managing the what, but we're also working with the people. And we're talking the first 60, 30, 60, 90 days context. It is also figuring out the boundaries and filling out roles and responsibilities. Um, and that's a good exercise to actually do within your company, whether you're have been in the business for a while, and maybe you're switching gears, maybe you're switching teams, maybe you're switching different division, you have new employees underneath you, or you have a new boss, or you altogether you're a contributor and ended up on a new team, or you're managing a new project with people that you haven't worked with before. Regardless, I try to go beyond the RACI chart, right, where roles and responsibilities and who does what. It's extremely important, but that's a starting point. I go a level deeper. So one tip I'll give you is um, I create myself a custom chart where I have a T for titles. And that's when you go to Teams or Outlook or whatever your official system is within the company and figure out what somebody's title is. So, for example, I have a lot of people with titled engineers, and come to find out they're doing nothing related to engineering. So after the title, I go with functions. Okay, so what's your core function? And then I understand, like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be an engineer, but I'm more of a subject matter expert. And so I kind of dig a layer deeper, and they finally say, you know what? Up till last month, I was QA. I'm kind of transitioning as a subject matter expert because I've been on these type of domain work, type of work for a long time. But I'm transitioning, so I get a deeper understanding beyond just the RACI chart of, okay, they're an engineer and this is what engineers do. So this is the F, the function. What is their core function, beyond the title? And then as I move over, then I look at what their real responsibilities are on the project. And so now there's a lot of hybrid, not just classic project management. I miss classic project management, and a lot of times I miss classic agile because right now we have a little bit of everything. So my survival method to the madness, and maybe that will help you guys directly, is figure out exactly, maybe I bring out the major people within the project or our stakeholders and figure out, okay, these are our true functions. Let's forget the titles and responsibilities. Our true functions, what we're expected to do, but what are our responsibilities as a subject matter expert? Are you going to be hands-on and create things and help build things? I've worked with engineers in the field for agricultural company, where they built fans and agricultural things with their own hands, but they still took care of the product. So we had to have the different roles. And the second thing I'm going to tell you is boundaries. because of that mix, and because we're becoming so matrix between mixing different methods with project management, is it let's say somebody is a product owner and somebody is a project manager. Okay, all right, so what are our boundaries? What are our understanding? Can we just let go of the titles? And who is going to do what? Okay, as a project manager, I'm going to manage the risk, while you're more figuring out priorities and the product. But we're going to kind of blur the lines when it comes to the stakeholders and manage them together. Can we create a consistent message? So we're both staying out of each other's lanes, but we're also kind of understand that where the lines blur, we need to be joined at the hip and have a consistent message. So when it comes to getting clarity before execution, it is that digging for that context. Getting clarity before execution, I can give you a great tip of what we've brought from the Agile world is definition of ready. You will have a few experts, hopefully on the team or on that project, who have worked with that work before, and they have a certain list or certain list of activities that need to happen before we move work between the different phases, or before we move work into our phase. So the boundaries of the phases. So understanding clarity before execution, maybe you will have some checklists. We have an understanding of to an X degree of requirements, or I have to, at the minimum, understand all the inputs and the outputs of whatever we're working on and building. So when you say, I'm going to flip the question around and I'm picking on Heather. So Heather, when you say getting clarity before execution, it's a little bit of a mix of the who, what, right? Who's responsible, where we're getting the information, but also us understanding what's the minimum amount, and what are the types of information that we need. So I'd say the PMP and beyond, create your custom works, create your custom sense making system of absorbing that information. So that definition of ready, do I have all of the information? Do I understand it? Do I have the very basic requirements maybe for that project to kick it off? Members competency, ooh, that's a peppery one. Maybe we have to have a whole another, this dips into my kind of coaching competencies there. Managing two projects simultaneously, stakeholder engagement, keeping teams accountability, building self-accountability, managing authority. Remember earlier I talked more about understanding everybody's roles. That also includes, where's authority coming from? For example, in Agile, people may push back and say, oh, the team has an independence to decide how they're going to do the work and estimate their work without the pressure. You might have in your ecosystem, that's matrix, maybe on your project, you have somebody out there who is the major stakeholder with the loudest voice. A lot of times people kind of figure out, okay, all right, this is the chain of command, these things happen. But I'll always ask the question, if this goes wrong, who's the first person that's going to crack the whip and we're going to hear from? Who's the loudest? Maybe the squeakiest wheel gets the grease, but that squeaky wheel sometimes doesn't squeak until things go wrong, right? I want to get up front and in front of these things and figure out, and that's part of my communication plan. Who are these major stakeholders? How do we get direct line and figure out what authority do they have? Can they reverse the project? Can they pause the project? Can they give us more budget? Can they delay the deadline? They'll say no, but they'll ask from the grapevine, what happens here when the deadline is in jeopardy historically? And people kind of chuckle and tell you. So understanding that context deeply helps. And I'm going all over the place because you guys are giving me so many things that are triggering me. Hopefully you're coming up with some direction here. But again, going back to the basics and the PMP and all the wonderful tools that, whether it's a workflow, work breakdown chart or the RAID log, these tools are there for us to make, not only to build the artifacts and to say like, okay, I did my due diligence, I filled this out, but also to have that information out there for yours and for the project's sake in handy. It's part
Right.
of your sense making.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing such great tips on how they can overcome these challenges. I'm sure this is going to be really helpful to all of them. And with that, I think now that we understand their challenges, I feel like the next question a few of them have is about the kind of meetings that they need to have in the first 30 days to ensure that they have great clarity on what to expect. And also, it could probably help with a lot of aspects that we already spoke about, like stakeholder management and getting to know other teams better. So, could you share your insights on what some of the meetings must be?
I see that Yemi Shoroya, I hope I'm pronouncing your team well. I'm going to piggyback from what you're saying here that, okay, risk identification and management is a crucial factor in the first 90 days. And secondly, stakeholder management is also a factor. How do you maneuver this too in the first 90 days without overwhelming yourself? Oh, I wish, Yemi, and this is pertinent to this slide and all these different meetings. I try to get and somebody is asking in the first 30 days, should I do interview with the members? Absolutely. And in some contexts, some organizations, for example, I work in the financial industry with very conservative organizations where one-on-ones are looked on as a waste of time. Why can't we just talk about this in the meeting? Why can't we, just email me or send it? And a lot of communication is pertinent to that. That's why our communication log is extremely important, because our communication preferences, there's some things that can be sent over chat. There's some things that can be emailed. Unfortunately, email is a CYA tool. It covers our assets, but anymore, it's not fast enough to be effective. And we get into these endless threads. It's good for accountability, bad and slow for communication. So again, in the first 30 days, should I interview the members? Absolutely. I don't necessarily structure things as an interview because it looks like we're doing a lot of playing and a lot of wasted time. So what I usually try to do is I try to say, hey, let's grab 20 minutes. And as we need more, if we have more to talk about, we'll talk about more. I make it an imperative to really learn people on a personal level when I first go into the system. In coaching, there's an entire science called entering into the system, and how we enter, how we show up, how we build relationships with the other, how we stand. Do we go in there as a crass, somebody who's super tough, or do we go somebody who's empathetic and willing to help and trying to get a true realistic read on what is needed? Am I truly helping, or am I just another tough guy there, just throwing tasks at people? So interviews, it's more about. It's funny, the people that you would think or look like the people that think that they'd be wasting their time. You'll find out that in 20 minutes or 30 minutes, they can't tell you all the things that they have to tell you. And so start small, do the one-on-ones. Don't necessarily structure them as interviews. Call them one-on-ones, get to know you, whatever. Call them touch points, checkpoints. And you'll be surprised how much people have to say and how much new information behind the scenes, out of context, you're going to learn from it. Mismatch competency, if it happens, report to management. Depends on the context. I usually try to my mentality personally, I have had more success with helping people learn how to fish rather than give them fish. And sometimes the reverse is running to management, and the mismatch is, if you know that there's a big problem, I would definitely go into fix modes, especially if it feels like there are trains colliding, there's a huge collision, and there's a huge mismatch between characters, people. Personally, they can't work with each other for whatever reason. That's a structural problem. I would definitely run to management, especially if you don't have the authority. Some project managers are authorized to change personnel, some are not, or you have to do it in collaboration with management. But if it's small things that needed smooth out, I usually will help teams. Sometimes people don't even realize that things are getting crunchy between them, and sometimes these things are temporary. I try to understand. Maybe somebody has a sick kid and they're just on edge because of that, right? So understanding the context, understanding how things work within that project, whoever is within that system helps a great deal. And this is why another reason why one-on-ones are so valuable. The right meetings at the right time. Nobody, especially in IT, that's the first thing you hear. People hate meetings. Meetings seems like we work 1/3 or sometimes 20% of the time. Everything else is meetings. Make sure that people understand, and you're combining, just like a backlog. You combine or you separate the meetings by purpose. We have a clear agenda, and I always tell people, if you're just not simply making decisions, or even if you're making decisions, every meeting should be like a working session where you have clear inputs and outputs, and you have the right people, and everybody comes out with a lot more than they came in for, rather than just a regular cadence type of meeting. And dependency mapping, all of these technical things, we can really deep dive into risk discovery workshop, top 10 risks and triggers. The last thing that I'm going to say is when it comes to workshops, yes, if, for example, risk discovery workshop, or whether maybe you're doing some type of value matrix, and you're looking at where things are getting hung up within the system, you'll be surprised how whiteboard or Zoom call, whatever call, Teams call you're doing, how charting things out quickly and maybe drawing or diagramming or kind of creating a short, simple workflow, something for people to look at, have a common reference, and shoot holes at. You'll be surprised how some of the smartest people are getting hung up on some of the simplest things. So even during your 30, 60, 90, and sometimes you're coming in with, a lot of times I come in with fresh eyes, and I'm asking the questions that people think like, oh yeah, everybody knows the answer, but they haven't asked that question in such a long time that the problem is they've stopped asking the most important question and shoving it back. So be that person, get out there, facilitate these, create these artifacts, uncover, help charts, even play like little kids and do different representations of the system, whether you're doing a workflow or kind of some type of end-to-end exercise. These are extremely beneficial, whether it's a process or you're working on the work itself. There's so much to it. Let's move forward, because I can go on this. We can dedicate a special session on this.
Absolutely. Thank you for actually giving us clarity on that, and also for highlighting how important it is to have meetings. So I think now we can actually move on to days 31 to 60 and how one can build control and credibility during this time, because we spoke about it. So could you share some insights on how one can effectively have a successful 31 to 60 days, and what they should probably focus on during this time?
Yes, and with the caveat that I see that Kiran is seeing the poll screen. Maybe we minimize this. I don't have a control, just so that folks are looking at the same slide. Maybe not. Sometimes, Kiran, you have to click on the poll to close on your end, or kind of click on the X button. But Sweta, help me out on this end.
Sure. I think
Yep.
while you were explaining the tips, tips to overcome challenges, I think he thought that there was another slide for that. We did not have a slide. We were just sharing the tips.
Yes. I tend to color kind of beyond the lines when I give an example, just because I try to give real examples. Some of these things are hot off the press for me, things that are coming from work. I'm trying to protect also the innocent, and so I slightly obfuscate the names and the context there. So yeah, 31 to 60. So you're no longer an observer. Now you're no longer in the passenger seat. Now you're driving. You have the keys. So what do you do? And so firm up your control systems, right? And the metaphor is just like in the car, your petrol or gas, whatever country you're in, diesel gauges. Think of it as your dashboard. Build your dashboard and control tools. Um, the iron triangle: scope, schedule. You also the money, right? The resources that you have. Uh, have those down. Have these basic project matrix down. Um, risk, very important. It keeps coming up for you guys. We're entering a little bit as the economy is a little bit shaky, and we're tightening the belts. Managing risk is more important than ever. Governance is coming to bite us. We're expected to churn out the same output, even more as before, but governance is also multiplying risk. Um, managing dependencies, absolutely. Quality, clear acceptance criteria plus structure sign-offs. Um, figure out, nail down your scope. If you're more in a project that's work, have a clear understanding of your scope. As figure out how soon you need it. If scope creep is typical of this organization, figure out how to push back. Find out the stakeholders that are causing that cause. Do a root cause analysis, whether it's for yourself or with a team on the side, on what is slowing you down. But in general, what you will do is, in your head, you have a idea of how things are going by now. In 30 days, you know how projects work in that company, right? Also, you have an idea what to improve, and how, if projects are, people are struggling with projects, your job there is to make them work, right? That's why you're there. That's why you're the project manager. So you should have an idea of what to do, but you have to have that baseline. You have to nail things down. You have to create your happy path, whatever your risk tolerance is, the min, the max of the scope, the known unknowns, unknown unknowns, all the artifacts, but create a system, understand your variables, and understand your constants. So, and especially in the new hybrid environments, when we talk about scope, okay, they'll say, well, now we're working on an agile. We don't have all the requirements. We don't have the entire system coast to coast. You push back and you say, no, business will always ask for this. Business will always ask for the what and the when, and will always ask for the entire thing. So we have to be able to forecast. We will have to be able to give them some type of big picture, and not just say, hey, now we're agile, we're not in control, we just work one sprint at a time. That's great for the purpose of pacing and producing a little bit at a time. But when it comes to building the entire product or the different features, we should be able to have a forecast and some data-informed roadmap on how things fit. And whether that's a Gantt chart and we're burning down percentages, and maybe you have Microsoft project tool. Maybe you're limited. When I worked with the government, we had a very limited project management system, so I relied heavily on Excel. So figure out your tooling, figure out your systems, but create your baseline. So this is, you're kind of starting to shine, but kind of figure out a solid starting point and your idea of how the project is going to go. So tighten those controls and get on top of these controls. Know how you're going to measure them. Know how to measure them. Know what you're going to measure, and create your baseline and plan, and also make it visible and communicate that so everybody understands around you.
Thank you for explaining that in detail. I think another aspect of during this time from days 31 to 60 is the domains that drive control during this time. So can you tell us a little more about these domains and why it is important to have PMI aligned thinking if they are project managers?
Well, you can go all around. I was at Dubai I was lucky enough to be a speaker 3 or 4 years ago. It's been like maybe 3 years ago. Not where the drone hits, but a mile or 2 kilometers down. Um, uh, I was at a big conference in Dubai and with some of the brightest uh, minds out there. And so um, the domains that drive control, PMP align. Oh yes, the PMP thinking. Sorry, I started going down memory lane. But my short answer to this is um, why PMI? Because it's a common language. There's a million ways to do project management. There's the Prince framework. There's the PMI. There's ad hoc. You can create custom. Like an old school companies have their own. If you go to IBM, some of the bigger legacy companies, they have their own way of doing project management. But PMI is a common language. When you have common language, you can go all over the world. I sat down with people from Saudi Arabia, India, Spain on the same table. And because we had the cross reference of PMI and its domains, we could, all of our projects, some of the sheikhs there that were sitting with us on the table were saying, oh, we're doing 50B, 3B. And there was a guy from Oman. I'm like, what is B? And he goes, oh, billion. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, 50 billion. That's a good project, but just because it was B didn't mean that we didn't understand it because we had common cross references. It's very macro and micro. It's different managing a $20 billion project, but knowing all the different domains that you drive control, integration management, aligning scope, schedule, cost, and change, scope and schedule management. So integration, how things are coming together, scope and schedule, management, understanding your critical path, um, understanding your milestones within the projects, and how things are spread out. Again, risk management. It's not just about the log. It's about knowing how to respond. It's understanding risk. It's understanding who to go to. When I worked for the government, we had a risk compliance officer that was extremely overwhelmed. They came from the research academia, so they understood the concepts. They were very much in tune, but they didn't have that experience on how to be risk compliant. So we had to, and this was on the infrastructure side. So we had to find how on the IT side and project management side to overcompensate with risk compliance, meaning we had to be very creative in solving problems, closing the loops, and be proactive into identifying risks and proposing how these risks are solved or closing the loop ahead of time, rather than waiting that long loop for the risk manager who wasn't that detailed or experienced was able to log them and help them. So in a way, playing in addition that role. Stakeholder management is another one. I talked ad nauseum, knowing the who, the how we communicate with them, when their authority, their roles, how you stand with them, how everybody stands. You have to understand how that huge list of people is an ecosystem interplay with each other, and what you need to modify quantitatively and qualitatively, and how to change it structurally. I mean, in Agile, we change entire divisions of teams, we restructure things, we kind of layer the teams, decide how the product flows. In project management, we nail down these stakeholders, and we log these decisions, and we're constantly metering and balancing. It's like a seesaw of these stakeholder decisions, and monitoring how they affect the project, and we push back and we overcorrect when there are risks and when things get derailed. And so also monitoring and controlling, more so than in any other discipline. Like my example with the risk compliance officers and governance, well, when they're not there, figuring out what's ours and how we can reach across the aisle and figure out and overcompensate. Wally is asking, apart from project management skill, do you think subject matter skill matters to be a great PM? That's the great to be or not to be in the marketplace. That's just a little bonus that I'm going to answer for you right now. It helps. It definitely helps that you understand, but you also have to always remember, always keep your project manager hat on, because sometimes we get sucked into putting our subject matter expertise and contributor hats. And when you get pulled down the rabbit hole of contributor, you start thinking, you start empathizing too much, you start thinking about kind of solving it from the inside, kind of from the other side, and thinking more about the solution. Then you're monitoring less, then you're doing less bouncing between the different stakeholders, then you're thinking about execution, not so much about risk. So be careful. The answer is yes, and it definitely can help. It definitely helps. But make sure that it doesn't come at the detriment of you managing the project, because we're overhead, whether we're in project management or in Agile, we're an overhead, but being part of overhead can be extremely dangerous, because sometimes we feel like, yeah, I can contribute to this project, but if you're not doing the overhead and the project management, you can cause a much greater damage than the benefit that you're trying to compensate by being a contributor. Where that exact line, where it lies, and that's up to you to self-regulate, know yourself, knowing the company, right? Understanding that context, these relationships, and being able to limit the level of contribution to healthy levels and still be able to be a project manager. Because if people look at you as subject matter expert, you will get sucked in more and more as a subject matter expert. The bigger, the heavier the project is, the harder it can get. You can be a backseat subject matter expert and a project manager first. That to me has helped me balance things for myself. And Swetha, I'm gonna have to go back to you, because there's so many moving parts to this.
Absolutely. So you gave us great clarity on the domains, and I now think it's important for us to talk about day 61 to 90, where one becomes the owner. So how can we ensure success during this phase? And probably could you share some insights on how PMP and PMI thinking can help during this phase?
Well, this is where PMI. I talked a little bit about talking the same language, right? You can walk into any. Because I'm back to that conference. I talked to some people that are in the middle of the desert in tents, working on some military project, which was fascinating to me, away from their family for months. But speaking the same language helped me relate. I had no idea it was a secret, but kind of understanding the metrics, understanding what's the common things that cause us to fall behind, help a great deal. So here in days 30 to 60, we got the keys and we were driving, but it was more about establishing the baselines. It was more about controlling and being to affect. So we're active participants. We transitioned from active participants into the one driving things. And here, not only are we driving, but we're setting the direction. So there's difference about measuring and controlling and having our dashboards in place and having a good idea what a happy path is and kind of auto-correcting, right, starting to drive. This is about owning the roads. This is about getting everyone involved around us. We see here deliver at least one visible win that stakeholders care about. I don't know if you guys are sensing the same thing, but this is a disguised wording for change management. So again, the modern PMP and PMI, it's not just about driving things and the mechanics. It's also about how those around us work So whether we like it or not, we're becoming amateur psychologists. And this is not just about driving and driving hard and driving on schedule and keeping things steady and being aware of everything that's going on. It's also about centers of excellence. It's about showing what's good. In Agile, that's even more evident, where we say, okay, whether we're transforming things or we're trying to create a product in a very flexible way, let's get the teams that have the mindset to do it that way, and let's get everybody excited about their wins. So whether you're doing that or you're doing more of a classic project management, change management, and getting people excited, being able to not only be, I use the word mechanics, the one involved in the mechanics, but you're also, remember, as a project manager, you're also an PR of the team. You're also a promoter, net promoter of the team, because you represent the projects in so many contexts. So being able to present the wins, showing your people and showmanship skills, change control calmly, not emotionally. This is that balance. I would say emotionally, I mean, we're emotional human being first, and then second, logical beings. But being able to be keeping our emotions in check and using them appropriately. So this is more about these finer skills. This is, by this time, you're going to start to figure out the personalities. You're going to start to push against the boundaries. So you're going to start to figure out every system, every project or environment where you're working on projects. You're going to figure out where what your limits of influence are, and where you're going to have to influence people more, where you're going to have to push. Somebody earlier asked, when do you call for management? And understand that sometimes you have to call for management to help you break down these walls that you can't on your own. So that change management skills and those higher level, beyond the mechanics skills, are going to come in handy in your 61 to 90 days. So this is where you're establishing yourself. This is where your style might be different. Your stylistics might be very different, but you're very confident that what you've come up with is going to work. So having the confidence and the ability to explain and influence people and make it work. Stop being a coordinator and start being a leader. Yes. So this is where it comes. You're modeling these qualities, not just telling people what to do, but figuring out how to get them to do it themselves, kind of figuring out their strengths and how it relates. So the true leadership, not just pushing them, but making people want to follow you themselves, rather than using authority and delegating because maybe you have authority over them with your managerial responsibilities. So you're delivering by this time. Things are becoming more stable. It takes, in modern, at least in software where I mostly work, it takes about 3 months to start stabilizing the system, usually a month to 3 months. So you're right in that area where in 3 months, it's kind of like having a small puppy, and after a while, after the first or the second year, I forget, the dog you have is pretty much the dog you'll have for the rest of the life of that dog. So kind of figuring out what you're dealing with and being established and knowing what realistic expectations on how you can contribute and affect things within that system. So all of that within the PMP framework. The PMP has these change management models in addition to those control models and stakeholder models. So you will see a few advanced concepts in the PMP as well.
Right. Thank you for that, Matt. It really did give us a lot of clarity on what one has to do or focus on in days 61 to 90. And also because these days are very, this is where you have to focus on the outcomes. It's important to also specify the small wins that one has to achieve during this time.
Mhm.
So could you walk us through the different kinds of outcomes that they should focus on during this time, and also how to get an early win as a project manager?
The early wins are extremely important in that they set the tone. It's my metaphor for it is buying flowers, and it's the same with relationships. Um, if I don't deliver to you 3 or 4 times, it's maybe more. You start getting used to me not being reliable, right? And there's some certain dissatisfaction, whether it's in friendships, whether it's at work, whether it's in projects. And then all of a sudden, I bring you flowers and I explain myself how much you mean to me. It's kind of nice. It's almost shocking. It's overwhelming. And I say, well, I always knew you were good. But then it kind of at the back of my mind, I have it that the next 7 times. So psychologists prove that for every positive, for every negative, you need 7 positives to move forward. And there's a thing called the Zeigarnik effect. Zeigarnik effect means that as human beings, we love checking off the check boxes, and checking off each box gives us a lot more satisfaction checking off small check boxes. We love driving towards the big goal and achieving it. We're all achievers here on this call. After work or in after hours, you're here with me tonight, and shows dedication that you're pursuing the PMP. But that consistency is extremely important. So this is what drives for me an understanding, building out your projects so that you have these consistent wins. The entire Agile checkpoints or building things in time boxing, the whole time boxing concept is built around you're building consistency. You're delivering, not just only giving the flowers, but I'm cleaning the car today for my wife. Tomorrow I'm going to surprise and cook lunch, and give these little extra things. But I'm also reliable, cleaning the garage, cleaning the bedroom, taking the kids, taking care of the yard. Like I'm consistently providing these wins, and I don't have to be a complete shocker and spend a lot of money on making kicking in with these big huge wins, the equivalent of giving the flowers. But I'm going to flip it back. Who do we satisfy? We satisfy the stakeholders. We do what we promise to do when we promise to do. This is what projects are about, right? Or we stay consistently close to it. But having the consistency and doing the wins consistently, whatever that entails. And notice I didn't give you a specific win. Maybe that specific win was just above and beyond at certain intervals. It's on you to figure out on your project what these wins are. For me, it was breaking things down into smaller chunks and having frequent checkpoints with the we actually did work with the vice president in technology on my projects, on my previous engagement as a project manager. So creating these bi-weekly checkpoints where we celebrated the wins was a good start, but we had to then start to trickle real wins consistently. So I think this is important, but you're going to have to, depends on your context, figure out and find where these wins lie. Last thing I'm going to say about this, and this is a real world example. Again, don't wait for the dam to break and for you to pour over all the excellence. And we know that projects have a deadline, and at the end of the day, the big picture and what we deliver by the deadline is what really counts. But build that consistency and these consistent wins and figure out and find out what we are learning from Agile and all its quarter century of experience right now is that customers, stakeholders, they want to eat their cake first. So get those features out, and these, even though you're ultimately delivering 3 months or 6 months from now, show them, engage them, show them things early, create these special effect wins, but real wins early. Maybe they'll be small, but be consistent, and people will know. Trust me, in a corporation, people know who are the people that deliver consistently exciting, working, functional things.
Right. So thank you for giving us such great insights on that as well. And I think that also brings us almost towards the end of the webinar. So in the interest of time, we have to cut it a little short right now. So we really hope all of you have a clear understanding of what you need to do in the first 90 days as a project manager to be successful. And with that, we would also like to introduce our course in project management. So I'll quickly take you through PMP certification training and how you can become an effective project manager. I understand that a lot of you are already in the field right now and you are currently project managers as well, but especially for someone who is planning on transitioning into a senior role, or if you are planning to move into PMP as a project manager, this could probably help you. I'll just take 2 minutes to quickly tell you about the key highlights of our program. So first, you will gain hands-on practice with 12 simulations. So these are designed to actually mirror real-world scenarios. And this experience is also supplemented by access to over 500 PMI exclusive questions and also a question bank of more than 1,500 questions. So these are some of the resources that we provide as a part of this course. Additionally, we also provide a cheat sheet and study plans to streamline your preparation. And our experts also offer exam application support to ensure a smooth certification process. You will also receive unlimited AI powered mock interviews. And our trainers will also provide feedback to help you with your skills. And additionally, you will also have master classes on generative AI, also because we understand the impact of AI in today's times and how crucial this is in project management. This is a core part of our curriculum as well. And our course offers 35 contact hours of live virtual training. So this is essential for your certification and is a prerequisite. So that is provided as a part of this course. And you will also get 24/7 course assistance and a comprehensive curriculum that is going to help you clear the PMP exam, right? So this program is structured to help you feel confident by the end of it. And we also have cohort managers who are going to help you with it. We have multiple cohorts starting. So you can definitely go visit our website and you will be getting the course details from our website. So regarding the program investment, so for Indian learners, the course fee is rupees 10,999, and for US learners, it's $699. And as a part of this, this is what you're getting. So you will be, like I mentioned, you'll be getting live online classroom training by top instructors like Matt. So if you want more interactions and great sessions, you can definitely enroll for the course, and you will have learner assistance and support from our team, and like I mentioned, access to digital materials from PMI, and you will be earning 35 PDUs by the end of this course. PMI membership is also included as a part of the course fee. So this is what you can expect if you decide to join us for this specific course. So I'm going to quickly launch a poll for all of you. In case you want more details about it, you can click on a yes, and our team will reach out to you about the same. So I'm going to launch the poll right now. I hope the poll is visible to all of you. In case it's not visible, you can again visit our course page and you will be able to see more about the course, and there will be an option to talk to experts and they will reach out to you and answer all of your queries. We would love to take your questions, but unfortunately we have a limited time and we will not be able to answer all of your questions regarding the course. So that is why we want you to respond to the poll and our team will be able to help you with this. Right. So as you all are answering the poll, you can also please share any questions that you may have with us in the Q&A box, and I will be more than happy to share it with Matt. I think Matt has already addressed most of the questions that you have shared with him. If you have any more that you would want answers for, please feel free to share with us in the Q&A box, and we will be more than
I'm
open.
Swetha, I'm also a vice president on my local PMI chapter, and I'm the VP of Education. I want to tell you guys that why Simplilearn is such a great value proposition is because the PMP is an experiential exam. It tests how well you can internalize the information so that you can solve real-life scenario or simulated scenarios within it. And because of the slew of simulations and different scenarios that Simplilearn offers you in the PMP training, you are positioned to be able to truly internalize all that information in addition to memorizing the set of things that you absolutely need to know. But that second and more powerful part, the experiential part, you will be positioned for success because of these 7 different ways that Simplilearn enriches that learning experience through that constant simulation that they offer.
Thank you for that, Matt. And I'm also going to quickly end this poll right now. Like I mentioned, if you are not able to see the poll and you would want to know more about the course, you can definitely go to our course page for more details about it. And that also brings me to the certificate of participation. So I'm going to launch a poll for that as well. Please fill up your full name and you will be receiving your certificate of participation along with the slide deck and recording in your email ID within 48 working hours. If you are unable to see this poll again, you can mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net. Tell us your name and we will be sharing all the resources with all of you as well. So as you all are filling up this form, I think there's a question. Hi, I don't see a poll here. The chat is disabled and where's the poll for attendance and receiving? Okay, so if the poll is not visible to you, you will have to share. You can write to us at webinars@simplilearn.net. Sometimes this happens if you're joining from mobile. That could be a reason why it's not visible to you, but you can definitely write to us at webinars@simplilearn.net. It's mentioned there, and we will share the recording and the certificate of participation with you. Please also mention your name while you send us an email and we'll ensure that you receive your certificate. So as you all are filling up the certificate poll, I think I'm going to take this time to thank Matt for such a wonderful webinar. It was really interactive, great insights that you shared and also the experiences that you were talking about. It was wonderful to have you and thank you for answering all of their questions as well. It was a really nice webinar. So I'm really happy to have hosted this webinar. And as always, I think I would like to ask you this one question before we wrap up. We have a lot of participants who stayed with us till the end. So Matt, do you have any one piece of advice that you would like to share with all of our participants who are still with us?
Oh, you know better than to ask me, Sweta. And for me, it's you're well on your journey. The very fact that you're staying here shows a lot of dedication. One thing, just overcoming adversity in my career, not just within the 90 days, it is what makes you a great project manager. It's you and your drive. Nobody makes you a project manager. It is that mindset and the ability to approach and your drive and you putting one foot in front of the next. So I want to tell you guys that just making the first step into your journey, that's 90% of the deal. You're showing up. So thanks for showing up and put another foot in front of the next one. And next time you look back, you'll see how many kilometers or miles you have done. So keep going on this path and good luck on your journey. And hopefully that we're fortunate to become part of your journey as part of the PMP class.
Yes, thank you so much, Matt. It's always great to hear your advice to our audience, and I love asking you for it as well. So thank you once again for being such a wonderful speaker. I loved having you with us. And with that, I'm also going to quickly end the certificate poll. And I would also like to take this time to thank each and every one of you who stayed with us till the very end. It was wonderful hosting all of you. It was thank you for all the engagement, for all of your chats, and for all of the questions that you shared during the webinar. And we really hope you join us in the upcoming webinars as well. If there's any topic that you would like us to cover in the upcoming sessions, you can definitely, again, mail us at webinars@simplilearn.net. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you all soon. So with that, thanks again, everyone. See you all in the upcoming webinars.